The Genius Club with Prairie Pine. Chapter 20. Contradictions. Alec's mind was in chaos. He was absolutely certain that he had never heard of the Genius Club in reality, let alone knew anything about the club's invitation. It was only yesterday, in his dream, that he had heard the name for the first time from Big Face Cat. He had thought that all of these things were made up by his imagination, whimsical fantasies in his dream. But why had they appeared in reality just like that? This feeling made him uneasy, as if everything was a prearranged plot, and he was nothing more than a marionette on a stage with strings pulled. "No, I have to find out," he muttered. After returning to his office, Alex closed the door and began to sort out his thoughts. Everything had started when he met Big Face Cat in his dream yesterday. All the information about the Genius Club had come from Big Face Cat. How it was extremely mysterious, hidden in history, and left no traces at all. Alex closed his eyes, recalling the information Big Face Cat had shared at the Genius Club in his mind. First, the Genius Club had killed Big Face Cat's father and daughter. Their main target was Big Face Cat's father, a renowned mathematician who had won the Fields Medal. Second, the Genius Club was so mysterious that even after investigating for many years, Big Face Cat still knew nothing about its structure, members, purpose, or location, almost complete ignorance. Third, there were rumors that only the top tycoons, the most extreme geniuses, and the most powerful figures could receive an invitation from this club. That was all, just these few points. All this information came from Big Face Cat, derived from his years of investigation, and its authenticity was unknown. Judging from the current known information, the Genius Club should be an extremely high-end, mysterious, and powerful criminal organization. Putting aside whether it was criminal or not, the fact that they premeditated murder meant they were definitely not good people. If he thought deeper, considering that Big Face Cat's father was a Fields Medal winner, could the Genius Club be an organization that specifically hunts geniuses? Although this conclusion was somewhat absurd, analyzing it based on the existing information, it seemed to be the only possibility. As we all know, the highest award in the scientific field is the Nobel Prize. But due to some historical reasons, there was no mathematics category in Nobel's will, so there is no Nobel Prize for mathematics. In contrast, the highest award in the field of mathematics is the Fields Medal, which can be called the Nobel Prize of Mathematics. Mathematics is the foundation of modern science. Anyone who can win this award is undoubtedly a genius. However, thinking this far, a contradiction emerged. Alex spun around in his office chair, deep in thought. Big Face Cat personally said that the Genius Club sends invitations to those extreme geniuses. Then what exactly is the club's attitude toward geniuses? Why do they both send invitations to recruit members and run people over with trucks to kill them? He couldn't figure it out. Moreover, there's an even bigger contradiction. Alex frowned, feeling his thoughts growing more chaotic by the minute. If Big Face Cat's information was correct, meaning only the top tycoons, the most extreme geniuses, and the most powerful figures could receive an invitation from the Genius Club, then how did Emma get this invitation? Although Emma was indeed young and accomplished, she was clearly far from being a top tycoon, an extreme genius, or a most powerful figure. Even Derek, the #1 figure in EC City, couldn't be considered a top figure on a global level, let alone Emma. So, Emma had no qualification to receive the invitation at all. But the reality was that she had taken the invitation right in front of his eyes. This was too contradictory. Alex felt like he had fallen into a loop of contradictions and logical inconsistencies. Contradictions, contradictions, contradictions. Whether in reality or in his dreams, all the information about the Genius Club was full of contradictions. There were too many things that didn't make sense. No, actually, these contradictions aren't important at all. Alex opened his eyes. Big face cat. What he said may not be reliable. We can't rule out the possibility that he lied to me. In fact, there's only one key, core, and urgent question that needs an answer. Why did the things made up in my dream actually appear in reality? This question was the one that worried Alex the most. It could even be described as a supernatural event. Alex picked up the phone and dialed Ryan's number. Hello? Ryan, something happened. What's wrong with you again, man? Is it still about that stupid dream of yours? The background on the phone was very noisy, like a vegetable market. Ryan shouted loudly. Didn't I tell you last time? Everything in dreams is fake, made up by your subconscious. As long as things from dreams don't appear in reality, it's not a deal. Shut up, you jinx. Alex rubbed his temples and sighed. You actually hit the nail on the head. The background on Ryan's side was still noisy. Listening carefully, it was the sound of customers haggling with salesmen. It seemed Ryan was at a Ford store, probably selling cars. I'm busy now. I'll come to your house tonight to talk in detail. Ryan dropped the sentence and hung up the phone in a hurry. For the rest of the day, Alex sat at his desk, twirling his pen nonstop. He was extremely curious. What kind of organization was the Genius Club exactly? Even though all of this was fictional in his dream, Alex couldn't help but be curious. Furthermore, was there any connection between the invitation to the Genius Club in Emma's hand and the films, the Genius Club that Big Face Cat had spoken of in the dream? Were they one and the same? If he wanted to verify this, the most efficient way was to directly read what was written on the invitation Emma had received. The truth would naturally be revealed. Unfortunately, at present, he was afraid he would never get another chance to see that invitation. When he entered Emma's office that morning, Alex had clearly seen her put the invitation into a drawer. Emma's office had 2 password locks, and Alex was not a real cryptography expert. Sneaking in was absolutely impossible. In his dream, he would have had 10,000 ways to enter Emma's office. At worst, he could have used C4 to blast his way in. But this was the real world. He couldn't act without considering the consequences. What other ways are there to see that invitation? Alex thought hard, but came up with nothing.